Good afternoon. I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Welcome to our April 2025 monthly meeting. These meetings we host on the second Wednesday of every month. We start them at noon. They go till about 1 o'clock, and then we have a 15-minute questions and answer period. So I want to point out to you, if you want to chat during the conversation, feel free to do so with the chat prompt, which if you're on a laptop should be on the right-hand side. You'll see it says chat. And if you want me to answer questions, start thinking about what you want to write about 12:50. I'm not going to look at the chat really until we get closer to 1 o'clock, simply because it'll throw me off in terms of what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to do. Now, I see that we're here in April. We're recording from Greater Downtown Miami. We're right in the heart of the Miami area. Even though it's the second Wednesday of April, it's actually starting to feel a little bit like summer. Why is it feeling like summer? Because we're coming to the end of the winter buying season. Winter buying season is the 6-month period. It goes from November in through April. And then at that point, we get into the summer buying season. So I'm going to touch on some of that during our presentation. Like I said, we'll go about an hour. We're also going to deal with what's going on with supply in the South Florida area. I'll talk about days on market, talking about average price per unit, price per square foot. We went through and we pulled a bunch of data, and then we turned around and we ranked all of the different markets. So if you were in the market to buy and you're not necessarily being driven by a neighborhood, but more so by the price, this should be some great information to give you some perspective as to where you should be looking to buy for the best value. And then if you're a seller, it'll give you some great insight as to which markets, you can expect to maybe get some velocity, move some of your product, or if you're in some of the markets that are ranked low, these would be markets that you probably want to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of pricing. So we're going to get into some of that. We'll get into the Trump tariffs. We'll talk about everything that's occurred since Liberation Day. Talk about the stock market, what's going on there. We're going to talk about the mortgage market. We'll talk about just a whole variety of situations. What we're not going to talk about, though, is the Florida legislature. Florida legislative session is currently underway. It's a 60-day process. It began in the beginning of March. It'll be wrapping up before we do our May meeting, which again will be the second Wednesday of the month. In the May meeting is when we're really going to sort of focus on everything that came about because of action being taken in Tallahassee. So no legislative talk this particular monthly meeting. We will do it the next monthly meeting. I want to give you some perspective, though, as to where we are, where we're going, and what the latest base case scenario is and outlook is for the remainder of the year. Anybody who watches the market, they realize that things are constantly changing, as we're all experiencing right now, especially since Liberation Day, where the stock market has plummeted. We have 10% across the board tariffs coming out to any kind of imports coming to the United States. At least that's a general thought process at the time. So the thing is, you need to look at the information, and then based on the information, you need to adjust, and you need to come up with a different working case scenario. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to point out to you, and I'm going to show you some of the latest stats. Therefore, it can help you to kind of form your opinion about what you want to do, whether you're a buyer or you are a seller. Now, a couple of things to kind of lay out before I go ahead and get into my presentation. Our club is coming up on just about the 1-year anniversary. What's the club all about? It's all about collecting information, sharing the information, and providing analysis. Why? Because some of you might be do-it-yourselfers. You're somebody who is looking to take advantage of the change in the law. Well, not the law, but the way of doing business, which is with the Realtor Association. Previously, you used to work with a broker, and then that broker would, they'd issue no property, and commission would be paid by the seller to the buy side. So if you're a buyer and you work with a broker, you didn't think you're paying commission, and why didn't you think you're paying commission? Because the seller ultimately was going to be paying it, but ultimately it came from the price that you ultimately paid on the way in, if you will. So in August, all that sort of changed. Now a lot of people are doing it on their own, and they're trying to use Zillow and Realtor.com and other things to kind of find things. So the purpose of the club is to kind of get you, the individual buyer, that information that's necessary to go in there and take a look at what's going on in the market and try to get a better understanding as to what's available. And also, too, with the club, it's also for real estate professionals, whether you're a mortgage broker, maybe you're doing title, or primarily if you're a realtor, We're going to give you straight talk. A lot of the information that comes out from the industry is all primarily on the sell side, meaning they need to push product, they need to sell product, and the best way to do that is to make sure that everybody feels nice and warm and fuzzy on the inside. Therefore, they're not going to have any hesitation about buying real estate. So I see the club's role as kind of coming right down the middle, laying it out there. You like it, you dislike it. It doesn't necessarily matter, but you're getting straightforward information that's going to be able to help you to kind of decide and dictate where you're going to go forward. Why am I somebody who feels confident putting out this information? I was a journalist for 13 years. I went to University of Missouri Journalism School, a pretty well-recognized journalism school. And the idea is truth, and put out the information, let everybody take the information, and then make an educated decision. So bring transparency to the market. Unfortunately, too much in the South Florida real estate market is about the sell side, trying to build up things. So some people call it a convention and visitor bureau stuff. So if you're watching this or listening to this presentation, and by the way, this meeting, which again is going to go until about 1 o'clock, and I'll take questions for 15 minutes afterwards. It's going to be emailed to you on Friday. So if you have to leave early, and maybe you want to rewatch, or you want to, maybe I said something that you want to hear the concept again, on Friday you'll be able to watch it. So you'll get an email link that's sent to you because you're a club member. You'll be able to check it out. And at any time, if you are in or on the website miamicondo.club and you're seeing a paywall, that means you have not logged in. So you should go into a report. You should be able to see everything. You should have no roadblocks or obstacles along the way. So if you don't have any obstacles, you're logged in. If you do have obstacles saying, hey, you got to pay, that means you're simply not logged in, just to kind of keep it real simple. So that's kind of a big picture of what we're going to do. Now, I want to get into some of our preferred vendors. These are vendors that I know I'm vouching for. If you were in the market and maybe you don't know who to turn to and you're looking for some sort of recommendation, all the vendors are people that I know and ultimately will vouch for. So these are people kind of put in the mix that you're shopping around. People will throw out mortgage lenders, they'll throw out closing companies, they'll throw out construction, all that type of stuff, and it can get a little bit messy, especially if you're new to the marketplace. So the purpose of this is ultimately to kind of give you some names. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quick, and I'm going to lay out some of our preferred vendors, again, with the purpose of giving you an option. So as you start to play the game, you get a sense of what's going on. So I'm sharing the screen right now, and you should see it. So there's our Miami Condo Investing Club logo. Let me scroll down. I'm going to do it kind of slowly. And the first vendor we have is Clarita Rosa. She has a company called Candor Title and Closing. So if you need escrow work, or if you need to put your money into escrow, if you need to do a closing, feel free to reach out to Clarita. Mention to her that you're a club member, and hopefully she treats you like family, because that's effectively what you are. Then maybe some of you are doing you're doing work without a permit, you get caught by the city, you put what's called a red tag on your door, and therefore you can't do anything, and now you're going to get the problem resolved. You should consider reaching out to Anne Christine Carey. She's got a company called Miami21zoning.com, Miami21zoning.com, and she can help you with red tag. She can also help you with entitlement. Say you buy a piece of dirt, or say you buy a property, you want to tear it down, you want to put something new on it, you don't know what you can do. Anne Christine Carey can help you out from Miami 21. Now, contractors, construction. So you're searching around, you don't know who to trust, who you can go to. Are they reliable? They're going to show up. They're going to take your money and flee, which is very common in South Florida. Well, somebody we would recommend is Andres Alvarez. He's got a company called 3A Quality Services Construction. So feel free to reach out to Andres as you're going out and searching for bids for any kind of work you might want to have done. And then we have Jose Suarez. He's got a company called Global Inventory Liquidators. What Jose does is he buys out failing companies. He buys out old inventory. Maybe as you go from winter into spring or summer, a retailer might want to have brand new mix of product out there. So Jose will go in there, he'll buy it at pennies on the dollar. He'll put a small spread on it, and ultimately he'll resell it. All the stuff is brand new. It could be everything from furniture to restaurant equipment. So if you are in the market for anything, or if you just want to, maybe you're a value shopper or a cheap SOB like me, and you're always looking for a deal, you might not necessarily be in the market for something, but if it's a good deal, you're going to pull the trigger. Jose, somebody to check out. So Global Inventory Liquidators, Jose Suarez, and then tile, marble, anything related to those types of materials that you might be using in your home or your office. Steve Mussolino. Steven Mussolino's got a company called Casa Linda Tile and Marble. They're over in Durrell. If anybody doesn't know where Durrell is, it's immediately west of Miami International Airport. So if you're doing a big job, you need some tile, you need some marble, you need anything related to flooring or countertops or things like that, feel free to reach out to Steve. Again, mention your club member and he should take care of you. And then finally, we have Grant Stern. Grant Stern he's a mortgage broker. He's got a company called Morningside Mortgage Corporation. And the thing about Grant is he is able to dabble into the traditional conventional financing, which you're going to get from a typical bank, or he's able to tap into private money. Some people call it hard money lending, but Grant basically, because of relationships and people he knows, some people lend out their own money. Grant's the one who kind of originates it. So if you find yourself in a situation, especially as the market is changing in terms of what banks are willing to do and how much money they're willing to lend, keep in mind Grant is somebody to kind of reach out to. Maybe he can help you solve your situation, even if you need a short-term loan to get into a property or to refinance it or to do some work. Grant might be able to help you get out of that, and then ultimately you could transition into something a little bit more conventional. But he does conventional, and he also does the hard money side. Now, I'm going to continue on because I'm sharing the screen. You'll see my lovely face very quickly, but let me just run through some other things. So I want to point out to you that we are doing these monthly meetings. We do them on the second Wednesday of every month. This is our last monthly meeting for the winter buying season, again, which went from November through April. So we're going to be wrapping it up now. I'll be releasing a new schedule for the summer or the wet season, and that's going to go from May through October. Nothing is expected to change in the summer in terms of the monthly meetings. The only thing that may change is hurricanes. Hurricane warnings, hurricane issues, hurricane concerns, and when those happen, there might be a little bit of a disruption to timing, but we're going to do everything we can to adhere to our schedule. And then continuing on, we have our meetups. Meetups are an event. It's a social event where you can come out and you can talk shop with other club members. So a lot of what we do is online, kind of like what we were back in the pandemic. Remember, kids didn't go to school and you were locked up in your house or nothing you can do. Well, the thought of the meetup is, once a month, get together, talk shop with people who are in the industry, pitch your services, find out what's going on, things like that. So our last meetup of the winter buying season is going to be next Tuesday, April the 15th. We're going to do it up in Hallandale Beach. Hallandale Beach, if you don't know, is the southernmost city in Broward County. It's on the other side. It's just north of Aventura, which is in Miami-Dade County. Later on in the presentation, I'm going to go ahead and give you some more information about where the location is going to be. So our next meetup for the winter buying season is going to be April the 15th, which is tax day. So if you're filing your taxes and you want to come out and have a drink and talk shop, and you want to commiserate, or you want to, maybe you're a little bit upset, you need some therapy, if you will, feel free to come out to the meetups. We don't know who's going to be there. We don't set an agenda. I basically show up, other club members show up, and we just kind of see where it goes. Typically, they go from 5:30 to 8, but we're trying to rotate around South Florida. So depending on where you're at, because we don't know where anybody lives, everybody is a club member. They simply sign up online and know very little about them. Substack, which is the company that effectively runs a lot of what that I'm putting out, they're the ones that control all that information. I don't have it, so we're trying to, we want to have some go-to places, and then after that, as we go forward, because again, we're still under, we're just coming up on the anniversary of the launching of the club. We want to have a rotation, so maybe you can't make every meetup, but once every 4 weeks or 4 meetups, there's going to be a session close to you, because traffic can be an issue, and trying to have everybody kind of share in the pain. And then finally, we have private seminars. Now, private seminars are situations where I will go ahead and I will bring in an expert, if you will. We invite we allow for sick people to come. We charge a fee. We provide lunch, but then you get close access to some of the different speakers. We've had a developer. We also had a chief building engineer talking about some of the ins and outs, who we have on the agenda, and I'll be putting up a new schedule for the summer. The private lunches aren't going to be as frequent simply because fewer people in town, and the hurricane issues, and there's other stuff. We're looking at May, June, uh, July may or may not happen because that's where it starts to get very active. And then again in September, we will not be doing one in August. August seems to be a time when everybody is out on vacation, maybe the kids in school. They're taking their vacation, they go to Disney, they're doing whatever. So we're not going to be doing one of these private luncheons in August. So let me go ahead and stop sharing this screen. Now you see my beautiful mug once again. So last bit of rules of engagement before we kind of get into my presentation. If you have any questions, do you have any comments? I have a thick skin. Feel free to reach out, ask whatever you want. Straight talk is preferred. You can do it in the chat. We're simply in the right-hand side. And again, I'll start answering the questions about 12:50 or so when you should put the information in. Then I'll start answering right about 1 o'clock. 1:15, we're at up. And if you have to leave early, because we're going to respect your time, we're going to get this all done at 1:15. If you do have to leave early, rest assured that there will be a video copy of this, which will be emailed to you because you're a club member. You'll get it on Friday. It will also be up on the website, miamicondo.club. So all that being said, let's go ahead and get into what's going on today in this market as I sit here at Greater Downtown Miami on the 9th of April, the final month of the South Florida winter buying season. So we're going to kind of go a big picture and then we're going to kind of drill down. So big picture wise, how does it kind of work with condo trends? How does it work with condo management? How does it work with activity, things like that? So generally speaking, the busiest time of the year quarter wise, now, quarter is a 3-month period, busiest time of the South Florida condo season is going to be the second quarter. So the second quarter is going to be April through June. The second busiest time is going to be July through September. So typically the busiest time of the year to buy condos for transactions is going to be from April through June, and then the next busiest time is going to be from July through September. So what does that mean? Nobody goes ahead and buys a condo right on the spot. What they do is they look and they shop and they look and they shop. So a lot of people effectively in Q1, which is January through March, they were kicking the tires. And then many will go forward and they'll begin to close their transactions beginning in April, May, June, July, blah, 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 blah. It goes on like that. And then typically the fourth quarter is which will go from October through December. That is time when anybody who's been looking and wants to basically do a deal, they want to get it on the board for tax reasons or whatever the case may be, they'll rush through and they'll close it. So the third busiest time is going to be that fourth quarter. And then the slowest time was January through March, which is the first quarter. So if any of you out there in the marketplace had kind of a quiet first quarter, rest assured, any of the work you did in the first quarter, it should start to come through to fruition in the second quarter as well as the third quarter. Remember, first quarter is January through March, slowest time. Second quarter is April through June, very busy time. Next busy time, July through September. So what I'm telling you is don't have bad, you can't really judge what's going on in the market based on what you did in the first quarter. A lot of people in the industry are complaining no transactions are occurring. They're not able to get deals done for a variety of different reasons. It's not necessarily surprising. However, if we go through this next quarter of April through June and you still don't have any transactions, then you need to start to pay attention simply because this is the busiest time. This is when all of the deals primarily are going to be going on. So that's something to keep in mind. And the same goes for that third quarter, which will be July through September. Just want to lay it out to you. Some of you are starting to get concerned. You don't know what's going on with the market. You're seeing what's going on with the stock market, but you don't know what's going on with the condo market. You're starting to be fearful. So keep that in mind. Now is when you should start to see stuff. If you don't have any kind of uptick in transactions by June, then I think you can start to form an opinion as to kind of what's going on. So that's kind of important to lay out. Now I'm going to share the screen one more time. And we're going to get into some of the big picture before I get into the condo stats, because I really feel like we need to lay out the macro. There's a lot of confusion in the market right now. A lot of people, they're becoming bearish, which is bad. Remember, a bear claws down, that means it's going on. A bull with the horns goes up, that means you're positive. So whenever they tell you a bull, that means it's going up. Whenever they tell you a bear, that means it's going down. That's the way to think about it. A lot of people are becoming bearish right now. And the reason they're becoming bearish is they're not seeing transactions. And they're seeing all the financial news that's coming out. So let me go ahead and share with you our screen. And I want to give you some key indicators, stuff for you to keep be aware of. So we're going back to the screen we were just on, and you should be sharing it.